Friends, on behalf of the author, Srimati Kumud Mohan, the hosts for the evening, the India International Centre, especially the library, and myself, I have the very pleasant task of welcoming you to this book discussion. Basically, a very lovely idea of just profiling a book and then looking at its facets. Now, before I introduce the panelists, a very eminent set of people here, I just want to say that a temple in any language and for any religion is simply God's abode, the place where in our human framework, God resides. So today's subject and the book that Kumud has written on it, a very, very readable, very informative, and a very different kind of a slant on temples, forgotten temples, historic temples in remote places. She's not gone for the big names, Guru Vayur and Swami Malai, and maybe that's a blessing because these are little shrines, and we will now in a short while request her to read an excerpt from the ultimate mantra, the little temple which apparently, according to legend, is the place which inspired the Gayatri mantra. So on to the evening. I will start with the panelists to my right. To begin with, there's Avinash Pasricha. Avinash has been the photo editor of Span for a full lifetime. He has done many features for National Geographic, for Life magazine, and of course he has contributed enormously to books on performance arts, Rhythm of Joy, and so many books of Dr. Sunil Kothari and several others. And then I come to Sri Venkatraman. She is a editor and previous features editor of Pioneer, also worked with the Times of India, and Sri is now engaged in research projects on the arts and several other pieces of intensive writing. To my left is our last panelist, Dr. Bharat Gupta. Again, those who are in the arts would know him, at least by reputation, if not by face. He is a Sanskritologist, he is an Indologist, he is a rigid, fervent classicist. And I'm happy to say that I share that passion because somewhere classicism holds that high water mark of excellence which the arts need at all time. It's not that the others are in any way less, but that while you can have a rap concert or you can have a rock concert and you can have any number of folk performances, it is the evolution of the folk into classical arts which has actually given this enduring validity to our cultural scene. Dr. Bharat Gupta is the Associate Professor in Delhi University and has of course written many books, especially on comparative analysis of Greece and Indian theatre forms, the Natya Shastra, and so many others. About our author, Kumud Mohan, she is also that very rare, I would say vanishing breed of writers who don't have to meet a deadline, but who manage to put themselves through that hard deadline framework of doing what they set out to do. This is not easy. They say the best writing comes from somebody who has learnt stick to the chair. So if you learn how to stick to the chair, you do ultimately become a writer if you have the passion and of course the interest. So I will begin with asking Kumud to read out this excerpt from the Ultimate Mantra, which is a brief excerpt, and then we'll go on to Avinash ji.
I'd like to thank Shanta ji. She is our chairperson, as we all know, and she is also a very famous art columnist. And a very happy announcement, because yesterday she was elected Vice Chairman of the Sangeet Natak Academy. And earlier she had won a Lifetime Achievement Award, again from Sangeet Natak Academy. So then our three panelists, I'd like to welcome all of them, Shri Venkatram, Mr. Bharat Gupt, and Mr. Vinash Pasricha, for so graciously agreeing to spare their precious time to come and discuss this book here, Temple Tales from India. Many thanks to India International Center for helping to organize this program. I am also grateful to all of you who have taken out time to come to this program. And now, coming to the book, I have to first thank Pandit Jasraj, who has blessed this book by giving such an inspiring and touching foreword. And Temple Tales from India is very much about finding adventure in little known places on the periphery of better known ones. You will discover many little known stories related to temples. For instance, legend and fact connected with the elusive river Saraswati, a hashish-rich valley hidden in the Himalayas, and a 1,000-year long romance of a scholarly sage and a heavenly beauty. So I will now read out the story of this 1,000-year long romance of the scholarly sage and the heavenly beauty. It is called The Ultimate Mantra.
I remember in my good old days in Span, the editor would often say, well, you're going in, you have to take pictures, why don't you also do the text? And I would say, no. I can concentrate on one thing, can't concentrate on two. One, get all the research material, then write, as well as take pictures. So I stayed taking pictures only. But it is difficult, and very few people can do justice both to writing and photography. And photography seems to be required to, in books like this, to attract attention, to make people look and read. And I think Kumud has researched her tales very well. There's quite a few readable. Her preface and introduction makes you really wonder that she's dedicated to go and find out about this, and has traveled all over north, south, east, west to get all the material and the pictures. Yet they are nature, and where God resides both on the mountains and in the sea, and that's what she is able to capture. And then I really compliment Kumud, and I hope she'll continue to do more such books.
Good evening. Well, I begin by saying that I feel like a proud aunt at the birth of a baby. I have, Kumud has shared with me the challenges she faced while putting this book together. And I'm so happy that the way it has turned out, it's turned out to be a very beautiful book and a very readable one. You could just sit and, after I read it, I felt as if I had been on a pilgrimage. It is, and that's the feeling you get. Little known tales of shrines in all their splendor, set in natural surroundings. It's quite an interesting experience, and I call on all of you to read the book.
Thank you, Shantaji. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity. You see, when this book came to me through the orders of Shantaji, I said, a book on temples will be a heavy job. And I thought that if it is going to be something fat and glossy and having lots of things in it, then I'll need a lot of time to dare say anything about it. And I, of course, have been a temple uh, lover and somebody involved in temples and even making temples, I mean, getting them started. But when the book came and I started flipping through the pages, I found it a very wonderful gush of fresh, non-classical breeze. I'm talking as a classicist who was very much renewed, and this book put my classicism away for quite a while. And I think there is something sterling here. It's a very spontaneous book. And very often we forget something very special about temples, which even I had forgotten. We think of temples as a place which is constructed with very great meticulous care and a lot of symbolism. Now, that is true even of these temples and each one of them. But if that sits heavy on our head, then we lose the real message and the real power of the temple. Now, set in the natural surroundings, and I'm very glad that she read first of all the origin of the Savitri mantra, Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat, and the tale with it. Now, the way I really appreciate this book is to see that along with the temple there is a tale.